My breakup with Manhattan socialite Lyra Vance was amicable. She got back together with her long-lost first love, and as the stand-in, I tearfully accepted a $10 million severance package and made a quiet exit. All very civilized, right? So why, not long after we split, did she suddenly start hunting me down, threatening to kill me? I swear to God I didn't do a single thing. All I did was go on one blind date and find a new girlfriend. Was that really such a big deal? Wait, Felix, you on a blind date? We were in a fancy restaurant downtown. My date hadn't arrived yet. The guy sitting across from me was Leo, the owner of the place and a good friend of mine. He stared at me astonished. Who's the date? My grandfather's old friend's granddaughter, I said with a shrug, swirling the ice in my whiskey. It was one of his last wishes. He told me I had to at least meet her, whether it worked out or not. Leo nodded, but after a few seconds of hesitation, he couldn't help himself and leaned in, lowering his voice. So what about Lyra? You were so in love with her for years, man. You're really just going to let it go that easily? Easily? That was a good word for it, but not entirely accurate. I took a sip of my drink and gave a faint smile. $10 million isn't exactly easy. That's the only shred of decency she has, Leo grumbled, shaking his head in frustration. Then, as if remembering something, a strange look crossed his face, and he rubbed his nose. Felix, man, I'm sorry I couldn't get your stuff from Lyra's apartment. I froze for a second. What do you mean you couldn't get it? Right after the breakup, I had to go back to my hometown for my grandfather's funeral and just got back to New York yesterday. I had to ask Leo to grab my things for me. I mean, I took the money. The least I could do was be tactful and get my crap out of her place. Leo put a hand to his forehead, a grown man looking like he'd been spooked by a ghost. It was terrifying. When I went to get your stuff yesterday, Lyra was actually home. She hadn't gone to work. She just sat there on the couch, staring at me without a word. It gave me the creeps. I finally got everything packed, and just as I was about to drag the suitcases out, she suddenly says, Leo, you've got some useful hands there. Maybe I should have them chopped off. Holy crap, man, I almost pissed myself. That definitely sounded like something Lyra would say. The Vance family practically owns this city. If the princess wanted someone's hands chopped off, it wouldn't take more than a phone call. But this whole thing, it didn't seem like her style. Our breakup was so civil, we settled everything cleanly. Why would she hold my luggage hostage for no reason? Leo looked at me and whispered. She didn't look like someone who wanted to break up. I shook my head. No way. Everyone in our circle knew the deal between me and Lyra. Years ago, Lyra's first love, Orion Sterling, had not only rejected her advances, but had also left for Europe to chase his dream without so much as a goodbye. Lyra was a wreck for a long time after that. There wasn't much I could do except stick by her side, quietly looking out for her. Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything to come of it. But then on Christmas morning 4 years ago, as I was handing her a glass of honey water to cure her hangover like I always did, she suddenly looked at me and asked, Felix, you're in love with me, aren't you? I felt my face flush and I started to stammer. I am. But don't worry, I don't expect. Let's be together. 3 words. For years I became Orion's replacement, and I spent the next 4 years completely devoted to her. She was still distant, but she publicly acknowledged me as her boyfriend. Everyone in our circle called me the most successful stand-in of all time. I thought so too. I thought we'd spend the rest of our lives together. But then on our 4th anniversary, Orion came back. All it took was a simple, Lyra, I've missed you. And he had her running to meet him at the airport. The thing is, I was at home that day blowing up balloons, getting ready to propose, but she never came home. All I got was a check for $10 million. She got her first love back. She couldn't wait for me to get lost. How could she possibly not want to split? I shrugged, trying to sound casual. Right now, all I hope is that in a city this big, I never have to run into those two again. Leo nodded in agreement. Yeah, basically everyone in the circle knows your history. It'd be way too awkward to see them. My eyes narrowed. My gaze drifted past Leo's shoulder to the restaurant entrance, where Lyra Vance was walking in. I watched as she paused for a moment, then started walking straight toward my table. Couldn't help but sigh. Leo, you son of a bitch, you just had to jinx it. I chose Leo's place for the blind date for 3 main reasons. 1, it was close to my flagship hot pot restaurant. 2, it was close to where my date lived. And 3, Leo and his wife were self-made. They didn't run in Lyra's circles. so I figured the chances of running into anyone I knew were pretty slim. Well, who could have seen that coming? Leo laughed nervously, his voice losing all its confidence as he spoke. Lyra reached our table. She didn't say a word, just raised an eyebrow at Leo, who immediately shot up and deserted me like a scared chicken. Geez, a grown man acting that scared. Was Lyra really that intimidating? I raised an eyebrow, poured a glass of whiskey, and offered a cool smile to Lyra as she sat down across from me. Miss Vance, to what do I owe the pleasure? It had been over a week since the breakup. Seeing her again, I was surprised by how calm I felt. Lyra didn't move. Her sharp, beautiful eyes locked onto mine. For someone with such a delicate, pretty face, her silent presence was incredibly intense. The aura of the 1%, I guess. I tightened my grip on my glass, keeping the smile plastered on my face. After a tense half-minute, Lyra smiled, raised an eyebrow, and picked up the drink. She held it, but didn't drink, her eyes searching mine. When did you get back? Yesterday, I said with a smile. I've got businesses to run after all. Can't afford to take too much time off like some people with family empires. Lyra nodded, her expression softening slightly. Here to see Leo? I froze. Before I could answer, a stunningly beautiful woman in a white silk blouse and a black skirt with a figure that could stop traffic walked up to our table. She looked from me to Lyra in surprise, a hint of hesitation in her bright eyes. Her voice was as smooth as silk. Felix? That's me, I replied. Are you Luna? Luna nodded. Then her eyes fell on Lyra. Am I early? Did you schedule another date for the same time? The moment the words left her mouth, Lyra's face fell. You're on a blind date? Yes, a blind date, I said with a tight smile. So if you'll excuse us, Miss Vance. Lyra shot me a look, her brow furrowing deeper. She didn't move, instead shifting her intense gaze to Luna. Miss Vance, I repeated, my tone firm, trying again to get her to leave. It was incredibly rude of her to be sizing up my date like that. What's the rush? Lyra raised an eyebrow, her eyes holding some dark, unreadable emotion. A smirk played on her lips as she let out a small, derisive laugh. We did sleep in the same bed for 4 years. How about I help you vet your next girlfriend? I clenched my fists under the table. Lyra, how are you not tired of hurting me yet? I don't think that'll be necessary, Miss Vance, I said with a cold smile, looking right at her. My grandfather picked her out for me. I trust his judgment. Lyra's eyes narrowed, her gaze sharp and questioning, but she remained silent. The sudden ringing of a phone broke the tense silence. Lyra frowned, pulled out her phone, and her expression immediately softened. Lyra, are you here yet? The deep, magnetic voice on the other end was clear enough for me to hear. Orion. Lyra's eyes flickered to my face, a shadow passing through them. I'm here. Just downstairs. Yeah, I just ran into a friend. We were just catching up. I'm on my way up now. A friend, just catching up. I forced a smile, my fists clenched so tightly that my nails dug into my palms, a sharp pain radiating all the way to my chest. Lyra hung up, stood, and smoothed her dress. Please continue. I won't interrupt any longer. I watched her walk up the stairs to the second floor, a dull ache spreading through my chest. But Luna just sat down across from me, a calm, knowing smile on her face. So, Mr. Gray, is it my turn now? Her words snapped me back to the present. I looked at her, surprised. You still want to continue with this? Luna gave a slight, perfectly natural pout. Why wouldn't I? First of all, I can see what's going on here and I don't think you've done anything wrong. Second, I'm not some prude who cares if a man has a past. And finally, aside from this date, I have something else I need you to take responsibility for, Mr. Gray. For a second, I couldn't process what I'd just heard. I stared at her, shocked. Take responsibility? She was a blue-blood heiress. What could she possibly want me to take responsibility for? Responsibility for what? I swear to God, I'd never even met her before. Luna pursed her lips. I have a dog, she said suddenly. He likes kebabs. My brain felt like it was short-circuiting. What? Luna took out her phone and placed it on the table in front of me. I looked down, confused, and my jaw dropped. It was security footage from a camera on a street light. The timestamp. It was from the night I broke up with Lyra. The $10 million check was lying on the pavement, and there I was, hugging a bottle of wine on the curb outside my restaurant, crying my eyes out. Next to me, a real dog was squatting happily, munching on the leftover kebabs I'd taken from the kitchen. Hey there, little guy, My drunken self slurred in the video. You've got a tag. You're not a stray, are you? Did you get dumped too? Damn it, me too. Hey, don't eat those. They're cold. See this place? It's mine. You come back here tomorrow, same time, okay? We're brothers in misery now. I'll get you the good stuff on the house. In the video, a completely hammered me was rambling on, tugging at the poor dog's ear. Watching it, I was so mortified I wanted to dig a hole and crawl into it. The camera footage is crystal clear, Luna said. My Lucky actually went back the next night. He waited outside your restaurant all night. But you, Mr. Gray, never showed up. Hearing that, I felt a pang of guilt. The next day was when I got the call about my grandfather and had to leave town. Luna locked her phone and looked up at me, her expression serious. After a moment, she added, ever since that night, my poor Lucky has had his faith in humanity shattered. He's been moping around the house, completely heartbroken. I traumatized a dog? That felt like a major sin. I'll make it up to him, I swear. I'll treat him. We can go right now. We'll buy Kibbles, the best dog food. I'll go apologize to Lucky in person. Luna pursed her lips and pulled up her Facebook profile on her phone, placing it in front of me. Clearly, my credibility with her was shot. I scrambled for my phone and sent her a friend request. Seeing the adorable golden retriever in her profile picture, I covered my face in shame. Miss Beckett, don't worry. I promise I'll take responsibility. Luna just pursed her lips again, non-committal. Let's go, she said. I quickly got up and followed her, but I'd barely taken a step when I heard the click of high heels on the stairs from the second floor. Almost instinctively, I looked up toward the landing. Lyra was standing there, her eyes dark as she stared down at me. Behind her stood a few of her socialite friends, all of them looking at me with undisguised contempt. In the 4 years I was with Lyra, those women had never once given me the time of day. I was about to just turn and leave, but then an elegant man in a bespoke black suit followed her down the stairs. I frowned and glanced over at Leo, who was trying to become one with the bar. What was Orion doing here? Leo's face paled when he saw Orion, and he frantically shook his head at me, mouthing, I didn't know. Orion, on the other hand, seemed to brighten up when he saw me. He acted as if he had no idea Lyra and I had been together for 4 years, his tone sickeningly friendly. Felix, you're here too? Long time no see. I forced a nod. Been a while. Orion gestured to the group behind him with a look of feigned helplessness. I just got back in the country and Lyra and her friends insisted on throwing me a welcome party here. I tried to get out of it, but then Lyra insisted on setting me up with a hot pot restaurant on this very street, so I figured I'd come take a look at the new space. As he spoke, Orion turned and wrapped his arm intimately around Lyra's waist. Then he looked back at me. I remember you're in the hot pot business too, right, Felix? Guess that makes us competitors. You should come give me some pointers. He was opening a hot pot place too? My head snapped up and I stared at Lyra. A little friendly competition is normal in business. If it had been anyone else, I wouldn't have cared. But Orion's family owned a billion-dollar cosmetics empire. Why the hell would he open a hot pot restaurant? My family used to be one of the big names in New York, but my parents died young and suddenly I was just a kid who didn't know anything. And my so-called uncles, the other shareholders, carved up the family assets. All they left me was a failing hot pot chain. Lyra saw firsthand how I grinded my teeth and fought through hell to turn that business around. I couldn't believe she didn't understand what kind of damage Orion opening a restaurant on this street would do to me. Lyra's gaze flickered between me and Luna. After a few seconds of silence, she said coolly, "Don't be so petty, Felix. Helping Orion out won't hurt you, right? Won't hurt me?" He throws her away, then decides he wants her back, and I'm just supposed to hand her over. Now he wants a piece of my market for no reason, and I'm supposed to smile and give him business advice? The nerve of this guy. Come on, Felix, Orion said with that same fake sincerity, inviting me again. I tilted my head and was about to let him have it, but he's busy. He can't. Luna, who had been quiet this whole time, suddenly spoke up, taking everyone by surprise. All eyes turned to her. Her expression was unchanged as she offered Lyra a small, polite smile. He's coming to my place. Then she turned to me, tilted her head, and gave a playful little wink. Weren't you going to take responsibility for what you did? Let's go take responsibility. The phrase was perfectly ambiguous. I shot Luna a grateful look and smiled. Let's go. You just met her, and you're already going home with her, Felix? Have you no shame? Lyra's voice cut in sharply. Everyone in the room froze. I frowned, a hot flash of anger rising in my chest. You're hanging on your new boyfriend while trying to control your ex. Do you have any shame? She should worry about Orion's stupid restaurant and stay out of my business. A small correction, Miss Vance. Unexpectedly, Luna, who had already reached the door, turned back. She smiled at Lyra, one perfect eyebrow arched. Oh, Felix and I didn't just meet. Our history goes way back. At that, Lyra's expression froze solid. Luna, however, simply turned, linked her arm through mine, and pulled me toward the door. Up close, her perfume was intoxicating. The entire side of my body where she held my arm tingled. My head was spinning. What she'd said was weird, but technically she wasn't wrong. Lucky really was deeply wounded by my actions. He was just a young dog, but the way he was lying on the balcony, he looked like he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. Lucky? Hey, Lucky, I'm so sorry. I really messed up. I brought you this fancy gourmet dog food. Won't you have just one bite? I knelt on the floor, holding out the bowl of dog food, sincerely repenting to the dog. Luna just sat on the couch, watching me quietly. I had a feeling she was laughing at me, but whenever I glanced over, her expression was perfectly neutral. By the time Lucky finally let me pet him and play with him, it was already dark outside. I'm hungry. Can you cook? Luna asked suddenly. I was taken aback for a second, then nodded. Yeah, I can. Lyra was an incredibly picky eater. I did all the cooking for us for 4 years, so my skills in the kitchen were pretty solid. Make me dinner then, Luna said, coming over to kneel on the rug and play with Lucky. She didn't really give me a chance to say no. If she was cool with it, there was no reason for me to be weird about it. I rolled up my sleeves, went into her kitchen, and whipped up a couple of dishes. I had just set the food on the table when my phone buzzed violently in my pocket, startled me so much I almost dropped the plate. I quickly set the dish down and answered without checking the caller ID. Hello? Your things are still here. Come and get them now. I froze, glancing at my phone screen to confirm who it was. Lyra. She wanted me to come get my luggage this late at night? It's too late. I'll send someone for it tomorrow. There was a sharp silence on the other end. I could faintly hear a few sharp, suppressed breaths. Then Lyra's icy voice came through. It has to be now. I was completely baffled. I took a deep breath. Then just throw it out, Miss Vance. The only reason I even wanted the stuff back was because a lot of it had been gifts from my grandfather. But if it meant getting tangled up with Lyra again, I'd rather just let it go. When you're gone, you're gone. I did right by my grandfather when he was alive, and I have no regrets. These mementos, it would be nice to keep them, but if I can't, I can't. I sighed, about to hang up, when Luna, getting up from the floor, let out a sudden groan. Ouch, that hurts. I rushed over to help her up. You were kneeling too long. Look, your knees are all red. Luna retorted, well, I didn't know you were going to take forever. Bang. A loud banging sound erupted from both my phone and the apartment door simultaneously. Stunned into silence, I heard Lyra's voice seething with rage through the door. Felix, are you going to come out on your own? Or do I have to break this door down and drag you out myself? My eyes widened in disbelief. Lyra was actually outside the door, on the phone. Her voice was just as cold. 3-2. My fists clenched. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress my anger. I'm coming. That spoiled princess was absolutely crazy enough to break down a door. But it wasn't me who opened the door. It was Luna. She stood in front of me, meeting Lyra's furious gaze with a defiant one of her own. Can I help you, Miss Vance? Lyra's face was a mask of fury, her fists clenched at her sides. She ignored Luna completely, her angry eyes fixed on me. You have 5 hours to spend at her place, but no time to come get your own things? I was speechless. Is tomorrow canceled, Miss Vance? Can it really not wait one night? Orion is staying over tonight, Lyra said, her voice flat as she stared at me. I don't want him to see your things and get the wrong idea. Besides, I don't want you accusing me of holding your things hostage just to keep you around. You take them yourself, and we can be done with it for good. It felt like she was silently ripping open the wound in my chest. I unconsciously tightened my grip on the doorframe, a bitter smile on my face. Fine. I'll come get them now. It was the first time I'd ever been in Lyra's car and had absolutely nothing to say to her. I just leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. So you like her? To my surprise, Lyra was the one who spoke first. I frowned and opened my eyes, meeting her shimmering gaze in the rearview mirror. After a 3-second pause, I nodded. Yeah, she's great. Yeah, great. It seems like you've been doing great these past couple of weeks. I thought you'd be. I raised an eyebrow. Be what? Nothing, Lyra said with a small smile, turning her attention back to the road. She didn't say another word. Leo had already packed everything for me. 2 large suitcases were sitting by the dining table in the living room. Lyra sat down at the table, took a calm sip of water, and just watched me. I didn't plan on wasting any time. Every second I spent in this place, so familiar and yet so foreign, was like a knife in my chest. I grabbed the handle of one of the suitcases and turned to go, but a hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Felix, didn't you used to be desperately in love with me? Lyra looked up at me, her gaze just as condescending as ever. You're over me after just a couple of weeks? You can just move on so easily and be with someone else. Do you even believe that yourself? In that instant, a hot rage flared through me. Hearing her mock my lingering feelings for her was infinitely more humiliating than when she'd paid me to leave. Did she have any idea how I treated her for 4 years just because I loved her? I deserved to be humiliated like this. I yanked my hand away, my gaze turning to ice. Whether I'm over you or not, does it even matter? What matters is that I'm being a good ex and not causing any drama. You, on the other hand, Miss Vance, what is all this about? Is this some new aftercare service you provide for your kept men? Or could it be that you're suddenly realizing you might actually miss me? Lyra just kept staring at me, a strange, unfamiliar emotion in her eyes. After 3 seconds of silence, she finally spoke. What if I am? My spine went rigid. For a second, I thought I must have misheard her. Did Lyra just say that? What did she just say? Lyra stood up from her chair and suddenly wrapped her arms around my waist. She pressed her cheek against my chest and sighed. Felix, if this is some kind of game you're playing, then congratulations, you've won. Come back. Come back to me. Then she stood on her toes and gently pressed her lips to mine. Haven't you missed me? Because I've kind of missed you. Lyra's body was soft. Her eyes were sultry as she looked at me. The air was thick with tension, but I couldn't even process it. All I could think was, what about Orion? Was he just supposed to not exist while she said this? Wait, what about Orion? Lyra narrowed her eyes, her tone firm. I'll set you up in an apartment. He'll never know. I want you both. Something inside my head snapped. I shoved her away, so angry I almost lost control. What makes you think I would ever agree to be your secret lover on the side? Did Lyra even see me as a human being? How pathetic must my love for her have been to give her this kind of audacity? Felix, Lyra said, not moving, her voice laced with a cold sneer. There's a limit to these games. This is me lowering myself for you. It's a one-time offer. If you walk out that door today, don't ever think about coming back. I looked back at Lyra's dark expression and let out a cold laugh. Go enjoy your life with Orion. The next time we see each other, one of us will be in a coffin. After that night, I didn't see Lyra again. She was a princess after all. After a rejection like that, I was lucky she didn't try to ruin me. Why would she ever come looking for me again? But while she stayed away, Orion's hot pot restaurant, the Sterling's Pot, had its grand opening. The location he chose was interesting, just 1 street over from mine. For a full month, he ran a massive opening promotion, basically burning cash to build hype. He was driving every other hot pot place on the street out of business. I was doing okay. With $10 million in the bank, I could afford to play his game without taking too much of a hit. Even so, he still managed to poach about 1/3 of my customer base. Well, what can you do? The guy's family is loaded. He can afford to burn cash for fun every day. How can I compete? I don't know how long my own funds will last. I was squatting on the curb outside my restaurant, petting Lucky's head. I looked into his big, round eyes. Inside, I gently tugged his ear and pointed to the sales report in my hand. All right, Lucky, my boy, give me your analysis. Besides price and quality, what else can we do to bring in business? Woof. Lucky suddenly perked up and barked twice toward the end of the street. I looked up, confused, and saw Luna walking toward me, looking incredible in a beige dress and heels. Her tall, graceful figure and stunning face literally made her a scenic view. Getting off early today, Dr. Beckett? I greeted her casually. Since our blind date, Luna and I had gotten to know each other pretty well, mostly thanks to Lucky. Her schedule as a doctor was unpredictable, so she'd started leaving Lucky with me. Pets weren't allowed inside the restaurant, so I set up a little umbrella for him by the door, where he'd stand guard like a furry bouncer. Not many surgeries today, Luna said with a smile, pulling a lollipop from her pocket. Have something sweet. It'll cheer you up. I shook my head. No thanks. I'm a grown man. I don't really eat candy. Luna's eyebrow arched. She unwrapped the lollipop and held it up to my mouth. I said, eat it. Open up. I froze, suddenly feeling awkward. I was about to just take it from her, but the leash in my hand was suddenly yanked hard, pulled me off balance, and I stumbled forward. Luckily, Luna reacted fast, dropping to catch me before I face-planted on the pavement. But I ended up with my arms wrapped right around her. My heart started pounding. Luna's soft body was pressed against mine. My heart rate shot through the roof. My face felt hot. I quickly let her go and stood up, giving her an awkward smile. Whoa, thanks for saving me there, document. You saved my handsome face. Luna stood up with me, a subtle, teasing look on her face. She leaned in close and whispered in my ear. Your heart was beating pretty fast there, Mr. Gray. Are you falling for me? Since I saved your life, I think that means you have to marry me now, right? Her warm breath on my ear and her perfume were making me dizzy. My eyes widened. Was she serious? Did she mean what I thought she meant? Was Luna interested in me? She was being so direct. Was she actually pursuing me? Woof, woof, woof. Lucky's barking saved me. I looked over and saw him blocking the path of a customer who had just left the restaurant, baring his teeth. Hey, I ran over and grabbed his leash. Lucky, buddy, it's okay, they paid their bill. You can let them go. Lucky let out a low growl, but after a few seconds, he moved aside. I quickly apologized to the customer and made sure they got on their way. As I looked up, I caught a glimpse of Orion walking down the opposite side of the street. He looked grim, like he just had a huge fight. How strange. The guy who had it all, love and a new business, looked completely miserable. Not my problem, though. I squatted down and hugged Lucky, breathing a sigh of relief. Thanks for saving me back there, buddy. Otherwise, I would have had no idea how to respond to Luna. What I didn't expect was that by the end of the night, me, Luna, and Lucky would be trending online. It turned out a major influencer with millions of followers had been live streaming a review of my restaurant that day. He thought it was funny seeing me on the curb showing the sales report to Lucky, and he'd turned his camera on us. He'd captured our whole flirtatious exchange, my fall, and Lucky's attempt to shake down the customer, all on his live stream. Restaurant Dog, the coolest dog, couple goals, slow burn romance, brave doctor and shy restaurateur is the ship I never knew I needed. A bunch of hashtags started trending. The phone call came a little after 2 in the morning. I was dead asleep and groggily answered the phone. Hello? The other end was silent. I waited a few seconds, frowning, my voice thick with sleep. Hello? Who is this? I'm hanging up if you don't say anything. Felix, who gave you the nerve to actually get with her? Are you trying to die? It was Lyra's voice. I hung up, rolled over, and went back to sleep. Just before I drifted off, I muttered, a nightmare about a witch. So scary. The popularity of that video exploded beyond anything I could have imagined. People started flocking to my restaurant, which basically became a viral sensation overnight. There were lines out the door every single day. In just a few days, thanks to Luna and Lucky, I not only won back the 30% of customers Orion had poached, but my business had increased tenfold. So one evening, just as I was about to close, Orion showed up, a smile on his face. Congratulations, Felix, your place is really taking off. I just looked up at him and smiled, not bothering to reply. What do you want, Orion? We're closed. I wanted him to leave, not sit down for a chat. The smile vanished from Orion's face. The friendly facade finally dropped, replaced by a look of pure arrogance and disdain. Felix, name your price. I blinked. You want to buy my restaurant? More than that, Orion said, his eyes dark. I want you to disappear from New York for good. I waved to the waitress who was cleaning a nearby table, telling her she could head home for the night. Then I turned back to Orion, a look of contempt on my face. What are you talking about? This is a big city. As long as you two stay out of my way, I think we can go our whole lives without running into each other. Orion let out a cold laugh, his eyes filled with arrogance. Felix, don't think that just because you've latched onto Luna Beckett, you and your pathetic little restaurant are suddenly high society. Do you have any idea who the Sterling family is? Even if you wanted to marry up, her family would never accept a small-time restaurant owner like you. So take my advice, don't overplay your hand. Take the money and get out of town while your restaurant is still worth something, and before I decide to completely destroy you. The words were harsh, but I had to admit his logic was sound. It was surprisingly clear-headed of him. My restaurant actually does very well. I wasn't hurting for money, but compared to the fortunes of New York's elite, it was nothing. He was right. I was not in Luna's league. But what I really didn't understand was this. Look, Orion, I don't get it. When I was with Lyra, you two weren't even together. You're the one who left. The second you came back, I walked away without a fight. I didn't argue. I didn't try to compete. I didn't do anything to you. So why are you coming after me so hard? A flash of anger crossed Orion's face. Then he sneered. Lyra might be confused, but I'm not blind. It's obvious she still has feelings for you. If I don't get rid of you now, am I supposed to just wait for you to swoop in and take my place? Orion said angrily, his voice still dripping with arrogance, but I could tell things weren't going as well for him as he pretended. Since I've been back, she won't let me touch her. She's always staring at her phone, lost in thought. The other day, I tried to kiss her and she instinctively said, Felix, stop it. Who the hell do you think you are? You think you can compete with me? Even if I threw her away, what right do you have to pick up my leftovers? And I have no idea what Luna Beckett sees in a piece of trash like you. Because his heart isn't nearly as filthy as your mouth. Luna's voice came from the doorway. Orion and I both froze, watching as she walked right up and stood in front of me, shielding me. At least Felix is an honest man. He knows how to love and when to let go. Unlike some people who have the audacity to throw something away and then come crawling back to reclaim it. Claiming you went to Europe to chase a dream? The truth is you failed and had to come crawling back, isn't it? From my angle, I couldn't see Luna's expression, but I could clearly see the color drain from Orion's face. I was still marveling at the power of her words when Luna turned to me with a mischievous smile. Don't worry, my family isn't nearly as foul-mouthed as he is. We choose our in-laws based on character. She paused, then gestured with her chin toward Lucky, who was waiting at the door. And so does our dog. I was speechless. That sounded suspiciously like an insult. It was late by the time I closed up the restaurant. The neighborhood was quiet, leaves rustling softly on the pavement. Luna and I walked side by side, walking Lucky as we headed toward my apartment building. I'm sorry, Luna, for having to keep borrowing Lucky from you. It's fine, Luna said, laughing as she looked at Lucky. He's a big boy now. It's time he started earning his keep. I laughed along with her, then hesitated for a moment before speaking again. And about all that online shipping of the two of us. I'm sorry about that. That kind of gossip couldn't be good for her reputation. Luna stopped walking under the glow of a street light, her eyes shining. She stepped in front of me and hooked an arm around my neck. She brought her face close to mine, her big eyes blinking slowly. You're apologizing? I was hoping for an answer, Mr. Gray. I'm this beautiful, and you're not the least bit tempted? Here we go again. I knew I wasn't in love with Luna yet, but this woman, my grandfather's hand-picked choice, was incredible in every way. Who could possibly resist a woman this gorgeous being so forward? I was so nervous I could feel my toes curling in my shoes. I quickly pulled away and pointed to my building's entrance. This is me. Good night. With that, I turned and practically ran into the building. I could hear Luna's laughter behind me. Felix, you're so adorable. My face was still burning when I got out of the elevator. I took a deep breath and silently cursed myself. Felix, how old are you? Have you never seen a beautiful woman before? Have you never been in a relationship? A woman flirted with you. What's the big deal? I slapped my cheeks to snap out of it, looked up, and nearly jumped out of my skin at the sight of the person standing in front of my apartment door. It was Lyra, who I hadn't seen in over a month. It looks like you've been having a good time, Lyra said, her face cold as she walked toward me. The sound of her heels on the tiled floor echoed in the silent hallway. I instinctively took a step back, couldn't help it. This version of Lyra was terrifying, but my retreat seemed to enrage her. She lunged forward and threw her arms around me. Felix, hold me. Kiss me. I really miss you. Before I could even react, she pressed her lips against mine. Her lips were insistent, and I could smell the alcohol on her breath. My heart sank. I quickly pushed her away. Lyra, what are you doing? Lyra stumbled back, leaning against the wall for support, her eyes glassy with drink. Her eyes were filled with hurt. Are you really with her now? I frowned, about to speak, but Lyra cut me off. Break up with her. Come back to me. We can start over. Then her shoulders slumped as if she was finally surrendering to something. Her voice softened. Felix, you won. You completely won. I can't stand to see you with someone else. That day you came for your things, I really thought you'd just walk out of my life, and I wouldn't care. But this past month, all I can think about is you. Nothing feels right without you. When I think about you and Luna together, I just want to kidnap you and lock you away. If she had said any of this on any day during our 4 years together, I would have been over the moon, completely devoted to her. If the sincere, pleading Lyra had shown up just a month earlier, she wouldn't have had to ask. I would have handed her my heart on a platter. But it was too late. Far too late. I gently shook my head, using the moment to create some space between us, and turned toward my door. I'm sorry, but what does any of this have to do with me? Go back to Orion. Stop wasting your time on this. The fingerprint lock beeped as it opened. I gently pulled the door open. From behind me, her voice was sharp. I broke up with him, okay? My eyes widened. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What did she mean, is that okay? As if I had forced her to do it. If I had that kind of power over her, would I have been so humiliated in the first place? Lyra took a few steps toward me, but stopped short. Maybe it was the alcohol, but for the first time, her voice was laced with confusion and a hint of surrender. This whole time, I've been trying to convince myself that it was always Orion I loved. I thought I was supposed to love him. But it's not right. Nothing feels right. I can't even stand for him to touch me. I stepped inside my apartment, my own emotions surprisingly calm. Lyra, it doesn't matter anymore. Who you love has nothing to do with me. I really don't care. In fact, it's better if you don't love me. Then you tell me. Lyra's voice rose, petulant like a child denied a toy. What do I have to do to make you come back? My hand tightened on the doorknob. I didn't turn around. Then you should probably call the cops on me. I didn't expect Lyra to call the police. I was the one who ended up calling them because there was an incident at my restaurant. A dozen customers were hospitalized with food poisoning after eating at my place. An anonymous tip was called in, claiming my restaurant had serious food safety violations. At the same time, a twisted version of my history with Lyra, painting me as a pathetic, social climbing stand-in, was leaked online. The long, rambling post tore me to shreds. It claimed I was a shameless opportunist who stole Lyra while Orion was away studying. All the people who had been shipping me and Luna online were horrified. The online vitriol was relentless. But amidst all the bad news, there was one silver lining. I had food poisoning too. After all, I basically lived at the restaurant. I ate all my meals there, using the same ingredients. The online mob had been ready to crucify me for being a negligent owner, but when they saw that, they changed their tune. Okay, now I believe the food poisoning was an accident. Fine, I'll give your restaurant the benefit of the doubt, but I'm still not sure about you as a person. Wait, this diehard shipper is screaming. If Felix is sick, does that mean he's at Dr. Beckett's hospital? And by sheer coincidence, my attending physician was none other than Luna Beckett. Luna stood by my bed in her white coat, adjusting my foredrip with an expressionless face. She was usually so warm and gentle. Seeing her so serious was unsettling. I huddled under the covers and whispered, "Is it bad, Doc?" "Not serious," Luna said flatly. "You'll be fine after a few days of rest." Then why the serious face? "Because this is a serious matter." Luna put my chart away and turned to leave, adding over her shoulder, "And no candy for the next 2 days." The sudden change in topic threw me, but I nodded blankly. "Okay, TSK, TSK. Luna's angry. Someone's about to have a very bad day." The handsome police officer taking my statement by the bed suddenly shook his head and clicked his tongue. His familiar tone surprised me. "Why do you say that?" The officer smirked. "Because whoever did this to you, even if they were turned to ash, Luna would find a way to dig them up and interrogate them." What an idiot. Of all the people to piss off, they chose Luna Beckett. Just because she chose not to take over the family business doesn't mean she wasn't raised by the Becketts. That Beckett family, even their dog, is terrifyingly smart. None of them are to be trifled with. I suddenly felt a chill run through me that had nothing to do with the fluid. No, it couldn't be like that, could it? Luna was so gentle. Could she really be that terrifying? As it turned out, yes. Yes, she could. Even though someone had already confessed to the crime at my restaurant, the police didn't buy it and kept digging until they unearthed Orion. It turned out that on the night Lyra drunkenly came to my apartment and I rejected her, She had gone home and repeatedly called out my name, saying she wanted me back and that she was breaking up with him. Hearing this, Orion, in a fit of rage and humiliation, had orchestrated the whole thing to drive me out of town for good. Now, with the official police report made public, his reputation in our social circle was completely destroyed. At the same time, the true story of my relationship with Lyra was finally pieced together by people online. Wait, so Orion never even accepted Lyra's advances in the first place? How is that stealing someone? He's the one who rejected her. Then someone else treasured her for 4 years, and he has the nerve to come back and demand her back? My God, Felix's story is so tragic. He finally gets the girl, and then she's just snatched away. I'm so mad. Is Lyra blind? OMG, I work for a high-end event planner and I can confirm. The day Orion came back, Felix had decorated his entire apartment to propose to Lyra. That comment caused an absolute firestorm online. Everyone started tagging Lyra, sarcastically reminding her, "Lyra Vance, you missed out on such a beautiful proposal. Lyra Vance, you missed out on a man who truly loved you. Lyra Vance, do you regret it?" And then, to everyone's shock, Lyra actually replied, "Yes, I regret it more than anything, and I'm doing everything I can to win him back." Luna was reading this trending reply out loud while I was sitting in my hospital bed, munching on an apple. She suddenly turned and looked at me, and I froze mid-bite. What? What is it? Am I not allowed to eat apples either? Luna shook her head, her expression still dark, her voice flat. You can eat. Oh, I said cautiously, taking another small bite. If. Luna suddenly spoke again, and I choked on my apple. Cough. I rubbed my throat, completely lost. If what? Nothing, Luna said, shaking her head. I was just thinking that if you're stupid enough to actually go back to her, I'll have Lucky bite you. I was speechless. I silently adjusted my non-existent glasses, but I eventually understood what she meant. Because that night, Lyra appeared in my hospital room. She was dressed beautifully, her eyes shining. Felix, I know everything. I was completely lost. What? Know what? And while I was still trying to process what was happening, Lyra pulled a small, red velvet box from her pocket. Don't open it, I said, the words tumbling out of my mouth before I could stop them. Her slender fingers froze on the box. She looked up at me, her eyes welling with tears. Why? I know you were going to propose to me that day, Felix. We should have been married. I'm ready to marry you now. You loved me so much before. You were so good to me. You haven't really given up on me, have you? Lyra's eyes were filled with a desperate hope. Felix, I regret breaking up with you. It was my mistake. I've broken up with Orion. I'll never be uncertain again. Come back to me. Let's start over, okay? No. I shook my head and gently took the ring box from her hand. I fiddled with it in my hand, turning it over and over. Yes, you're right. I was going to propose to you that day. But, Lyra, you missed your chance. The light in Lyra's eyes dimmed. She shook her head, her voice stubborn. No, you love me, Felix. You loved me for so many years. You can't have given up on me this easily. We haven't missed our chance. As long as you come back, we can start over, can't we? Our eyes met, and the stubborn, deep affection in her gaze was unmistakable. For a moment, I felt a disorienting sense of certainty. This time, she really wasn't going to give up on me. I had the distinct feeling that if I rejected her, she would haunt me to the ends of the earth. I pursed my lips, unsure of what to say. Just as I was about to speak, I caught a glimpse of a shadow in the hallway. The shadow of a person and a dog. Okay, I said with a small smile and a nod. I'll give you a chance then. As Lyra watched with hopeful eyes, I tossed the ring box out the open window. Find that ring, and I'll take you back. Lyra's eyes flickered, but she stared at me and nodded, her expression grave. Okay. On the day I was discharged, Luna came to pick me up with Lucky in tow. I was standing at the window of my room, watching Lyra down below, searching through the hospital's garden. After days of searching, she had found the box, but the ring itself was still missing. Whether it was lost for good or someone had found it, I didn't know. If she finds it, are you really going to get back together with her? Luna had come to stand beside me without my noticing. Her face was dark, her tone sharp. Lucky was sitting by her leg, looking regal and imposing. It looked like if I dared to say yes, she would sick the dog on me. I couldn't help but smile. Of course. The color drained from Luna's face. I gave her a sly grin and pulled a simple man's ring from my pocket, on the condition that she actually finds it. Since Lyra wasn't willing to give up, I had to end things my own way. It was time for her to feel what I felt. That feeling of being so close to a happy ending only to have it turn to ash. I had given her my heart once. She took it, didn't value it, and then threw it on the ground and stomped on it. So why should I forgive her just because she finally realized her mistake? TSK, Luna said, shaking her head, though a smile played on her lips. You're a cruel man, Mr. Gray. So cruel. I love it. So, speaking of which, can you give me an answer now, Mr. Gray? About our date. Are we going to see where this goes? I raised an eyebrow and tilted my head. But instead of answering, I knelt down to pet Lucky. What do you think, Lucky? Woof.